Now it's time to be dangerous. Now it's time to get risky. Now it's time to truly find out what you're made of and what you could achieve. Now it's time to truly find out how many lives you can impact. Now it's time to find out what you were destined to become.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Raw Minds. I'm your host, Eric, and this show is for people fighting the battles no one sees. Today's guest hits close to home. I'm sitting down with Ron. Ron is a host of a podcast, Don't Mind Me. I Just Have ADHD. He works with men, especially men over 40 who are dealing with ADHD, addiction, depression, and the quite feeling of being broken when you're not. Ron does not sugarcoat it. He says ADHD is a flaw, or is not a flaw. Sorry, let's get that right. It is a different operation system. And if you spent your whole life trying to run the wrong software, no wonder why you felt lost. He turned chaos into clarity. He turns shame into tools. He turns pain into purpose. He is also the author of the Self-Discovery Journal for Adults with ADHD, a straight-up guide to understanding your brain without beating yourself up. This episode is real, it is honest, and it's for the guy who feels behind, the guy who feels too much, and the guy that was told, just try harder. If this conversation hits you, do me a favor, like it, share it, comment, follow Raw Minds. This story exists for the people who may never meet. So let's get into it and introduce Ron. Ron, welcome to the show. Welcome to Raw Minds, brother.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, man.
It's a pleasure and an honor, man.
Hell yeah, man. It's an honor to have you on here too, brother. Definitely. And you know, we had a great conversation, you know, like before when we had an interview, man, and I really appreciate what you did for me there. You know, we pray together. So thank you for that, man. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's power. It's power. There's so much power in prayer. People don't even realize it.
Yeah. I appreciate it. But on to this, please plug all your shit, man. I want, usually when I have guests come on, man, I want them to plug everything. So before we start, can you please plug all your stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to step into my world, you can check out my podcast. Like Eric said, it's called Don't Mind Me. I Just Have ADHD. You can find it on all the platforms. I just posted a new video on my website. It's called Mastering the Moment. So if you're having trouble like talking to people, you're introverted, you really want to like just go deeper into those conversations and be able to master that, check out that video on it's on youradhdguy.com. And like I said, like he was sharing about my book, you know, the Self-Discovery Journal. You can find that at youradhdguy.com. There's a free e-copy.
Hell yeah. And everything will be in the description. So just scroll down to the description after you watch the full video. Okay. And then hit him up, man, and check it out. Get the free copy and, you know, check out his podcast too. You know, it's a small world. We got to look out for each other here. So go show him some love too, man. ADHD is I have ADHD. As you can tell, I'm all over the place all the time, but it's my superpower. You know, that's how it's my superpower. You know what I mean? But enough about me, man. Where did it all start for you? And not the podcast, but like the real beginning.
Yeah, it was like, you know, I was born, and that's first. No, just kidding. Like that's
my mom and my dad.
That's the way for everybody. But yeah, what it really started out for me was, I would say, you know, when I was homeless for the second time in my life, and like I said, like I woke up on the mall, the National Mall, and I was just like, the fun was over. The fun stopped for me. I was sick of it. Like I wanted out. Like I was doing drugs. You know, I thought that was like who I was, and like people just didn't understand, you know. So that was the first time that I admitted to myself that, you know, I needed help. Unbeknownst me that I'm an addict. You know,
how old are you at this time?
I was about 37.
Okay.
You know, so like I feel like that was like the beginning when I started to wake up. You know, because I had a job at the time, and it was crazy. Because like the reason why I became homeless was I was living in this kind of like flop house thing with like a bunch of bunkmates, and like it was crazy. And you know, I ended up getting locked out of that because, you know, I had an argument with one of the guys about like stealing food, and not that I hadn't done that, but I wasn't guilty in that particular situation. So I got pretty upset and it was over. Like she
Mm-hmm.
kicked me out. I remember crawling in one night underneath the back to get in to sleep. And I was just like, this isn't the type of life I wanted to live. So, I ended up getting into a treatment center eventually and just giving myself up to like the program of Narcotics Anonymous, finding a sponsor, doing all the work that was necessary. Because I was so scared. Once I got out of that treatment center, my world had been turned upside down.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I didn't know, like, it was so uncharted. I'd never been like without at least smoking weed.
Change is
Like,
scary too, you know what I mean? Like, change is scary. You never know what you're going into, right?
yeah,
As human beings,
exactly.
we wanna know, like, we wanna know everything, that's why we bet on scores, that's why we want all the stats on, like, all, like, your sports, like, players and stuff like that, is because we wanna know, right? Uncertainty is scared for us. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like, definitely, I definitely could imagine that, man.
Yeah. And I was just like, but I didn't want to go back,
Yeah.
so like it was a process. Like, so I was like, I'm going to be the best in NA. Like, I'm going to be the best addict recovering. I'm going to get this real quick and then be out. And like, it just doesn't work that way. Like, it doesn't go
Mhm.
away. So there was like a lack of acceptance. There was that a little bit of humility, but luckily I had people in my life, especially the sponsor that I had at the time, was really hardcore, really what I needed, didn't like sugarcoat things, let me know. I was like, I still am a bit hard headed, but I wasn't as hard headed as I was when I came in because, like, I, di- admitting that you don't know anything about life is such a hard pill to swallow,
Mhm.
especially like I've lived 30, 37, 38 years. And like, I'm just beginning to understand how to act in a job, how to get insurance, how to get, how to take care of myself, because like I, I was under the impression that, oh, all I need to do is just get rid of the drugs and everything's going to be better. No, I
Mhm.
had to dig deeper into the insanity that caused me to wanna use drug that made me think that that was a good idea, because I'm still that person. I'm
Mhm.
still that person today, that like, recovery is still strong in my life, but like I've understood like along that process that I also have ADHD. So I rediscovered that, and that was something that I was diagnosed with early on in my childhood, but it was like kind of swept under the rug and never talked about again. And I was just under the impression it was just a childhood disease and I just grew out of it.
Mhm.
But like once I like was about to lose my job because I kept running into things, damaging company property and, getting brought back into the office. And, of course I'm like, well, they don't understand, but they're telling me to slow down. But I'm like, no, they need to catch up, right? So what ended up
I know
happening
about
was
that,
like,
man. Yeah,
yeah,
I hear you.
was
Yeah.
like, my sponsor at the time was like, maybe you need to look into that with your primary care. I scheduled an appointment. I was like, look, I'm desperate. I need help. I'm afraid I'm gonna get fired. Like, I can't slow down. Like, what is it?
Is
What
it and is this a point in your life where you realized, like, your brain wasn't working or, like, it was working differently, I guess you could say, in a sense? You know how, like, we were saying, like, ADHD, it's you're going, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm doing I got 4 screens in front of me, and I'm doing 4 different things at once, you know what I mean? It's like, that's how I use it for my superpower. But did you, like was that when you first realized, like, your brain, I guess you could say, in the nicest way, didn't work,
Well,
work differently?
it didn't really hit me and dawn on me because there was not really some acceptance. I was just like, okay, there's a thing over here and there's a fix. I want to get to the fix. So
Yeah.
like, you know, I was under the impression everybody like thought like that. They were like, and it just there was so much confusion about like, well, why are people? Because especially at work, like I want to work, work, work. Like if you're not working, you're not worth it, right?
Mhm.
So it's like I'd see people standing around and kind of like they would slow me down, so I would get mad at them and just not get it. Like, don't they like just they're so late? Like, doesn't their brain work the same way? Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense. So when I finally went and got to my therapist, I was like, yeah, the first thing that one of the first things that he really told me was like, you can turn this into a strength, and I was like, no way. Like this, but I was like, I was hooked. I was like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to get over this? Because like after that, like pink cloud or whatever you want to call it, like wore off, I was like, oh, I was like, because I thought I was intelligent. I thought I was like normal, and now I'm not normal anymore. So I'm like, it just, there was this depression that came over me. And so, like, that's why I committed to the work so hard because I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to get back to normal, to fix this, to like,
Hmm.
so I can fit in or whatever was going on in my head at the time. So, there was a point where I stopped going to see him because I thought I was good. I was like, I'm performing this. He's okay. And he's signing off. It was financially not, I was moving. So I needed to cut something. So that was like, I'm like, we're good. Like,
Hmm.
and he was a good enough therapist to be like, you know what? Go ahead. Like
Figure it out
if
on your
you
own.
feel if you feel like you're good, like you progress far enough, like yeah. But what ended up happening was like I was got bumped up in the company that I was working for and like to a newer position where I'm driving a fork truck and mixing dangerous chemicals to create like I was like running into reinforcement poles. I took one out. Like it was crazy and I didn't even have to be on that. It was like cuz I'm just going and it
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
like wow and it was scary. So like of course, I'm talking to my sponsor. He's like, maybe it's time you need to go back to and talk to your therapist. So I was like, I booked an appointment. We got in there. I was working on it, and I was really slowing down. But I ended up hitting this like rail that was like in guarding these like pipes that have chemical
Yeah,
in
like a
them.
barrier. Yeah, yeah, a barrier, so you can't
So
like
I
they
was
have in
lowering
stores.
the
You can't go through. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I was lowering the forks, and then it caught it and pulled it down. Like, not all the way down, but it was, like, hanging and it was dangerous. So, like, I was like, my heart sunk because I was like so frustrated because I was trying so hard to
Hmm.
slow down. Like I was really focused on it, but I got distracted in that moment. Not to say that that's like an excuse for what that happened. I honestly like was under so much stress that like I feel like that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because it really woke me up to understand like this is a lifelong thing. I have to accept that on a deeper level. I have to accept that I'm an addict, that I have ADHD, and like that's just going to be who I am. And let's see how I can work with that. So I started to look into things like how to make money outside of the job because I just wanted a side hustle to get more money because I stepped down from that role. That meant less money that I could earn. So I had the bills and you know
Yeah.
so what ended up coming across my radar was being starting my own podcast. So I was like, yeah, because I was like, I didn't realize just how passionate I really was about mental health. So I started digging and learning and reading all these books and like just like trying to figure out what ADHD was and trying to be an expert in like 2 minutes or whatever. I'm like, I need to be an expert now. Like, and nobody really is an expert, but like,
Yeah.
it was that drive that really got me into like understanding what ADHD is. Like I still am learning, but
Yeah.
it's like that
But you're still
acceptance
going to
is,
learn all your whole life. You're going to learn, right? You know what
oh
I mean?
yeah, once
Because
you
you're going to
stop
be in
learning, you
different
stop.
positions. Right? That's gonna like, maybe trigger something or have to make you stop and
Yeah,
think, right? Or you never know, man. And that's just mental health in general, like, or and even anything in life really is like you have to keep on pushing, you have to learn, and you are gonna
yeah,
get knocked down. You are gonna get knocked down, but those are the times when you learn the most is
yeah,
when you get knocked down and be like, okay, shit, I don't wanna feel like that again, so I gotta change it. And that's
yeah.
that's your learning process right there, man.
Yeah, definitely. And I learned like, most people are, like me, they have a difficulty time accepting themselves for who they are.
Hmm.
And even through that process of acceptance, it went further down and we were talking about recently when we talked about before this podcast, it was like, God. like made me this way. Like to accept that on a level, like God doesn't make mistakes. God made me this way to tell this story, or to reach somebody who's dealing with those same struggles, because like I have a specific, like we all have abilities. We all have a special gift from God. But if we don't understand and get closer to know God, and that's having like a church life, that's being part of a church, that's being, having God more fully. Because I had that, and then I walked away from it,
Mm-hmm.
for a while, because of, that's what I needed to experience, because like my life without it was good. It was great, but there was always this hole. There's always this
Mm-hmm.
missing piece where I would get depressed, or, I just feel like underappreciated now, like that I've dedicated my life to growing closer, and doing God's will and God's purpose in my life to the best of my ability. Like I have this like overflowing love in my heart, that I want to share and spread. And it's like nothing else that I've ever had. Like I'm not saying that I don't have any problems. But I see problems differently. I see them as like the only way that you can build your character is through those problems, those trials, those tests, that temptation. God allows for that because he knows he's got a plan for you that's bigger, but he's only going to give it to you when you're ready.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know what, man? Another thing is you went through all that stuff, like you said, and it put you where you are today, sitting in front of me, and also put
Yeah.
you with a book in your hand that you wrote and a podcast. And you're helping other
Yeah.
men, like I said in my intro, that you're helping people, you're being through this, So, like I said, my ADHD is my superpower. And for you, it's your superpower too, man. And it's helping you give back, and you're using that to help people and change their lives, and making people maybe that don't even know that they have ADHD, that they do, and maybe they listen to something that you say, and it like something clicks, like, hey, maybe, so then I have to go get checked out, and then they find out that they do, and then they help themselves in the right way, man. So I mean, it's it's a snowball effect, right? So
Yeah.
it's amazing, man. It really is, and I'm doing the same thing on this side of the table too,
Yeah. It's
and
good.
it's giving back is and just helping people, like this is why I have this podcast, and it stemmed from something dark, and everybody that knows me, and knows that I lost my fiance, and I had to go through
Yeah.
those dark times and feel very alone, to make this podcast to help other people so they don't feel alone, and show that they're not
Yeah.
alone. So amazing, man. Well, my dog's going off over there. Anyways, but yeah, more about you, not about my dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to
Definitely.
ask something before you had words for it. How did it show up in your life? Like, how did ADHD like show up in your life?
Yeah, it would just be like this constant racing, like especially after, well, just in anything, anxiety, depression, this constant need to like prove myself, it was just, yeah, racing thoughts, like,
Mhm.
just racing around, like everything was fast, like everything was going up like 120 miles an hour. Like now it's going more about like probably 80,
Mhm.
75. But that's way better than like where I was at,
Yeah.
and like honestly, I just thought, why doesn't everybody think, why doesn't everybody see what I'm seeing? Why it's like they would say, "Oh, good job, man. I didn't see it the way." And I was like, "Why not? Were you not looking?" Like,
Yeah.
I had difficulty time like accepting compliments, and that
I
that
still
that
have
was
that, man. I still have that, to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
still
that's
have
what I
that.
learned through therapy is like, it's a compliment is a gift. Like
Mhm.
somebody gives it to you. Like you don't have to believe that compliment about yourself. Especially when somebody would say they're proud of me and I don't know them. I'm like, what do you don't know me, like type
Mhm.
thing. And like, honestly, what he said was like, you don't have to believe what they're saying about you. Just believe that they believe it.
Mhm.
You
And like,
know?
thank you for doing this, man, because I need to hear this. I
Yeah.
need to hear this because I do struggle with that, and maybe it's because of like the trauma also that I've been through, and how I was treated younger, that, it
Yeah.
was hard to accept those things. I mean, like even doing my podcast here. I just hit 91 countries. It's amazing, and like people are
Yeah.
listening in
Yeah,
91
that's
countries.
awesome.
It's wild. But like I'm thinking to myself, it's like, no, I need to do better. It's always like I need to do better. I'm always hard on myself. It's like anyone know, like no, like it's got to be better. I'm very hard on myself when I need to
Yeah.
actually stop and like smell the roses. I say it all the time, but it's so hard to take your own advice too. Like it really is. It's easy to get, and it is hard. Like I struggle with it all the time, man. And anybody that says, "Oh no, I do it all," like you're full of shit. You're full of shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate to say, we all struggle. We all struggle. Trying to take our own advice sometimes, definitely. But I mean,
Well,
like, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, it stems from a couple of different places, and it's
Mhm,
like we're built to want, like, God made us to be, for that encouragement, for those compliments, to be like,
mhm,
that you always hear that song, like, or that scripture that says, "Well done, my good and faithful son." God wants to give you that pat on the back for doing good. We all want that. We all need that, but yet we didn't get it, so we decided to, like, say, "Well, I need to live a life where, I don't need that stuff."
mhm,
But you do. It's a denial thing. And when you're, like, chasing something without fulfillment, like, it's just, like, achievement without that fulfillment.
mhm,
Tony Robbins talks about this, and he's like, it's like you see billionaires that are just miserable. They've achieved everything. They can afford anything they want, but yet they're, like, so tight on money, so, like walking on eggshells, and it's like money doesn't create happiness. Money is just a tool.
mhm,
Money is necessary, but it's just one part of the equation. Like, the most fulfillment that I've got is, like, the people that I have in my life and putting them first, putting them in my life. So it's like when I'm chasing something, I'm competing with somebody else. And there's that envy in there.
mhm.
So
You
when
it's
you're
sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, when you're comparing with always comparing with other people, that steals your joy. You'll rarely be happy because you'll only be happy when you're successful. But when you're rejoicing other people's success, that's you can be happy. And I'm not saying that that's easy. Like, I still struggle with that. I see somebody doing well, especially, in sales and in my job, and it's like, why not me? And it's
Mhm,
like, no, like, that's why not you, because you're
mhm,
questioning God's, like, blessings, or you're saying, like, God's only got a limited amount and I didn't get mine, so it's like I'm not going to get any. No, he's waiting for later. Like, he's waiting for you to be able to change and become a better person,
yeah.
and you'll get blessed, and by rejoicing in that, you can quickly get to that.
Well, it's giving. It's giving, right? You get a lot of joy from from giving, and I mean,
Yeah, it
like look at
multiplies.
Christmas, man. When like for a parent, if you have kids, man, and you give your kid a gift, that they really want, you see that joy on their face, man, and it makes you feel happy.
Yeah,
Because
you
you're
didn't even get
giving someone
anything.
joy. Yeah, exactly. But like I wanted to bring up, so like what you were saying is like, money like can't buy you, happiness, all that. So for the longest time, I used to say whoever said money can't buy you happiness was broke, right? Because I
Mhm.
always like, oh, if I had money, I'd be happy, blah blah blah. But as I got older, now I see my mom deteriorating. She's 82 years old, right? She's got
Yeah,
lung cancer. She's not doing good, right? I mean, she's doing as good as she
I'm
can
sorry.
in the situation. It is what it is. She lived her life, man. She had a great life.
Yeah,
She was an amazing mother, right? So I mean, what more can you ask? But
yeah,
uh,
definitely.
there's no money in this world that can bring her health back and to bring that happiness,
Yeah,
and as I see her, slowly, not becoming herself, I get, because she's got Alzheimer's too, right? That I see that, and there isn't, I mean, like, you can spend all the money you want on drugs, but you think those drugs are all gonna just fix it? No, maybe might miracle one in maybe 10 people, or who knows, whatever.
yeah,
But I mean, like, there's no amount of money that's gonna bring my mom back to being that person and making her happy again when she didn't have cancer,
yeah,
but so Andrew Tate, I believe in some of the stuff he says. I don't believe in all the stuff, but there's mixed and everything. But I do believe in this and what he says. He was sitting down on the couch and he says, I have so much money. I have all these cars. I have all these houses and I'm bored. I don't know what to do. I'm not happy. I could go to the mall and buy anything I want, but I don't because I just don't have that drive. And he's like, for anybody out there that doesn't have what they want, I envy you because you have that exciting, that drive, that what makes you want to get there, that makes you fight to get what you want. You know what I mean? When you have it all, you don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, and it really made sense to me. You know, I just actually watched this video yesterday and it really made sense to me, saying like, yeah, like there's this guy, he could buy anything he wants and he's sitting there and he's not happy because he doesn't have everything that he wants generally, if you really talk about it, right? So it just
Yeah.
kind of opened up my mind, and you were just talking about that, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I mean, like, money can't buy peace, money can't buy happiness, money can't, like, you look at some of the, like even
Temporary it
king.
may, but that's it.
Yeah, it's gonna give you, like, this
Band-aid.
superficial happiness, but not this
Yeah.
deep eternal, like I've found something. It's that peace
Yeah.
that brings you happiness, that like calm in your life. And you look at a lot of the people that are the most happiest people, and you look at Tony Robbins, just to, like, he's he's made billions of dollars, but he's helped more people.
Mhm.
He's always given away. He's fed billions of people because his life's about service.
Mhm.
It's not about making the money. The money will come no matter what. Like, if that's what you're pursuing.
Mhm.
But, like, nothing is going to replace that feeling of, like, oh, I helped somebody, whether that's like giving them a meal or spending time with you, because time is more valuable than money, because you can always make more money. You
Yeah.
can't get time back.
Most valuable thing in this world, man, is time. Well, look at
Yeah.
that show.
So
What's
when
that movie? Time it's called or whatever with you know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
Whereas they got their time is on their arm, and when it runs out, they die.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
his Tom Cruise? No, not Tom Cruise. Who was it? Leonardo DiCaprio, I think, was in it. Was it him?
yeah. I'm not sure
It's
exactly.
time. Yeah. So you work and they pay you with time. And it's like
Yeah.
a digital thing, like that's on your arm. It's an old movie, and
Mm,
like so you work instead of getting money, you get time, and then when your time runs out, you die.
yeah,
So there's people like with millions of hours, right? All the rich people, obviously, and then there you got
yeah,
like the poor people with like hours left, and they're just living by hours and hours. It's a crazy
yeah,
concept, man. And it really teaches you, like the movie really like
yeah,
opens your mind, like time is the most important thing. You can't get it back. There's nothing that you can get back. Like everybody that's watching this podcast right now, this is the best time spent you've ever spent, man, watching this.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah, so don't worry about not getting this back. This is the best. But I'm saying, like, you can never get it back, man. You can really, like,
yeah. And the one thing that the biggest the lie the devil tells you is, like, this day isn't worth it. Any day that you don't spend living is a wasted day. Like, you're not
Mhm.
going to get that day back. Like,
Yeah.
every day is a gift. It's no other day is guaranteed. Like, anything could kill you today. Like, you get hit by a truck, you could get hit by a missile. Like, you don't know. Like, especially with the world going on, and, like, all the stuff going on, and, like, you don't know. You don't know. That's why it's so important to have a relationship with God, and know who Jesus is, because
Mhm.
he bridges the gap. Like, even if it's, like, wrong or whatever, like, wouldn't you rather be on the side where it's, if you were wrong and you did good and you did everything you were supposed to, than not do it and then have to deal with that consequence? Like, I go through the things that I go through knowing that whatever suffering, whatever discomfort that I go through on a daily basis is nothing compared to spending an eternity in hell.
I mean, nobody wants to. I mean, you want to spend hell, you're a different type of person, I guess, right?
I mean, I don't think that people really think about it like that. And, it's not like I'm like fire and brimstone, but it's like there's one or two doors. God doesn't send anybody to hell. People choose to go there, with
Mhm.
the actions that they take. God's always reaching out. God's always sending people out. We're just ignoring them, or we're not seeing the signs. Like I was guilty of that most of my life, and like I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm just saying that because like out of love, out of love for other people, because like this is real. This earth is like our life here is temporary. Like death is just a doorway. Like our souls will live on forever. And it's just the choice you make on what like nothing on this earth is willing to compromise for that. Yeah, you can bring heaven down for a little bit, and it's just going to be like a tiny fraction, maybe that of like what it's actually like up there. But that's where I try to keep my focus on is like I'm doing all this because I'm going there. Like I don't care about whatever like sales I make. Like for me, a day like, is a good day if I get to know and love God a little bit more.
Amen.
If I don't do that and I get 10, 20 sales a day, make $5,000 in a day, but I don't get to know and love God, it's a wasted day.
I feel you, brother. I feel it. I'm just new on this journey, like we talked about before, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's exciting, man. It is exciting.
yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about ADHD in men and identifying it if we can.
Yeah, so,
I
like,
actually
what
just
are
got
the
a
signs
question.
or
Yeah, so why does ADHD hit men differently when people talk about it? Like I find anyways.
well, I think men in particular, especially older men, like around 40, that 40 age mark is like, most men, at least that are that age are like within that camp of like I don't
Mhm.
need to talk about my problems. Being vulnerable is not an option. It's if I'm weak, somebody will use that against me. Like I'm not supposed to cry. I'm supposed to be this and that, like whatever everybody told you need to be, but you're feeling this on the inside. So there's like this war between you, and
Mhm.
and it gets to a point where you're just like how I am, like I'm fed up. I'm fed up with how my life is. It hasn't turned out the way that I wanted it to. I should be further along, and they start to look in different areas, and part of that is like seeing starting to look at themselves, and seeing like, okay, this has been an issue. This has been causing a lot of drama in my life. I used to think it was just them, but like everyone's got the same is telling me the same message about me.
Mhm.
Maybe I need to look into that, and maybe I need to get help to do that. So you're finally at a point where you're just like that ego is just like, look, I need it's doing me more harm than good right now. Not
Well,
that it's gonna go away, but they're at least open to that process.
do you think that I mean, like, do you think that what's happening to men's identity is keep failing the system and not bringing them up? Like, do you think that like everything's just like failing, like the
Yeah, I
whole
mean the system, man-made system is designed to fail.
yeah.
It's we're imperfect creatures. We make mistakes. We're just that way, So this whole system that is not focused on what God wants us to do, which is go towards our strength. He made us each individually different and have different strengths, because you notice people work better when they're in a team, because
Pack
this guy's
animals.
good at this what I'm not good at, and that
Mhm.
guy's, I'm good at what that guy's not good at, and like we all come together and we create this amazing thing. But now we're in a system where we want everybody to be good at the same things, and if you're not, like, you've got to do this. And we're always pointing at like, oh, you could be like Johnny over there. Why aren't you good at math? What, it's like, why do you exist? Like you're
Mhm.
stupid. Like it's those things that put people down, that's not a good system. That's, kids are graduating from high school without being able to know how to read. You realize how crippling that is
Mm-hmm.
on not just that person, but society? Like, you have one less person that's able to contribute. And then they're just weighing people down because you just think, oh, well, no kid falling through the cracks, but that one did. Like, which one is it?
Well,
I
let's
get
face
it.
it,
There's no
man.
funding there, but like the priorities need to switch.
Well, let's face it. The whole school system is fucked. It's fucked. You're trained to stand in line. Raise your hand when and ask when spoken. You're just trained to be a bitch at the end of the day. If they
Yeah.
if they don't train you to run your own business, be an entrepreneur, think for yourself instead of yes master, yes master, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's the big, like, what is that? I forget who said it. I think Trey Shelton, I think his name is, or whatever. It says you can't teach a fish to climb a tree.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
There's no they've squeezed out all the creativity. Like, when you want innovation, you need creative minds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they don't teach that. They don't teach self-advocacy. They don't teach emotional resilience. Like, those are, like, you look at all the leaders, coaches or whatever, they're emotionally resilient. And that's why I think, like, if you really want to work on your emotional resilience, get into sales. Get a job selling something door to door. Get that rejection, because there's no place better. Like, if you want to continue to get better, you're going to have to be able to control your emotions. You're going to have to be able to switch it back to something that, because people buy on emotions. And if you're not, like, in a good state, like, you can kiss that day goodbye. Like, it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be a good day.
I hear you, man. And like you said, like, cold calling or whatever, like cold
Yeah.
interviews, cold calling, anything like that. Yeah. And I was just on a live earlier before we started this, about an hour before this podcast. And it's true. It's like, you can't control people's actions and everything else, but you can control your own, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not your emotions, more or less. You can't really control your emotions, but you can control how you how you react to them,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
true.
You can ask yourself better questions. Be
Yeah.
like, instead of like, what if that doesn't work? What if I tried and ask the question, what if it does?
Mm-hmm.
What would that look like? It's not easy to switch it, because your brain's like used to, like, you've got these ingrained pathways and their impressions, and every time you think of a negative thought, it deepens that groove, and it makes it easier to go through your brain. But when you start to think about those positive thoughts, like, it creates that impression, and it's like, you got to work at it, and the more you do it, the deeper that groove gets, and the more, like, automatic that becomes. Yeah, you'll go into those negative thoughts, because I believe that, like, especially when you're going for God, like, you're going to have more than you've ever had, because that's where the devil gets in, is like these wicked thoughts that are like, how could I even thought of that? Like, stuff that's unspeakable, especially when you're praying, you're like, man, what's wrong with me? It's like, it's not really wrong with you until you, like, take it to heart and think it's you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And it's not even about what's wrong with me. It's not even, I wouldn't even say it's that. Like, I wouldn't say, you know what I mean? It's just, how can I divert this into, something useful, I guess, in the sense,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Or like,
I don't, yeah, like, I don't like to, like, say, like, what's wrong with me or whatever. I like to
that's
use
good.
it as, yeah, you know what I mean? And change the narrative, change the
Yeah, or you
narrative.
can be like, where did that thought come from? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
weird.
Do you
Like,
think that the school,
it's like, it's
well,
not really like, it's like your brain's doing its own thing.
yeah, yeah,
It does.
exactly.
Your brain's not, like, when you want to grow, your brain is not your friend. You got to remember that. Like, it is, you've got, to a degree, you've got to kill your old self. Like,
Yeah.
all that stuff that's not serving you, all those thoughts that, are running through your head that are continuing to keep you in bed, continuing to make you hit that snooze button, you got to kill those thoughts as quickly as possible. It's not like you're going to do it well in the beginning, but like murdering those thoughts is going to help you so much, because when you start to ask yourself better questions, like, what does it feel like when I'm happy? What does that look like? And your brain starts to come up with the answers. But if you're like, oh, why do I suck? Or like, I can't get a diet. Like, why can't I get any diets? It's like, because you're lazy,
Mhm.
because you suck. Like, your brain's just going to give you the best answers that you ask the questions.
Well,
Does that
actually,
make sense?
while we're on this, actually, what is the most dangerous lie a man with ADHD believes about themselves? Since we're talking about that, what
That you're
would you
not good
say?
enough.
Yeah.
That you're why do I exist? Like, I suck at everything. Like, anything that's like is a core belief about yourself. Like, I'm no good at this. Like, like I said, your brain's going to continue to produce what, like, if you think you're going to be sick, it's
Hmm.
going to make you sick, because it wants to it's trying to solve a problem that you gave it. The brain's just a machine that solves problems. But when you give it, like, okay, I want to get better. I want to be this. I want to do this, or this is going to happen. Like, your subconscious mind is so powerful. Like, when you program it right, and you start to, or like reprogram it, like imagine like how you rode a bike. You started riding a bike. You were like, you had to make sure you pedal right, stay balanced. And there was a lot. Like, you had to focus on every single little thing. But after your subconscious mind got it, it was like, okay, you don't even think about it.
Or
It's the
driving a
same
car.
thing.
Standard, man.
Yeah,
Switching gears. It's so funny. I use that all the time as a bike. A bike is a huge thing. Like, and
yeah,
I use it all the time for different things. Like, you know, for people, okay, not everybody knows how to ride a bike, but the people that know how to ride a bike, how many times did you pick up that bike and fall off of it and still pick it up and still learn to ride a bike? It may
yeah.
have took you some people one time, some people years, who
And what
knows, right?
motivated you to
Yeah,
keep going?
yeah.
Because you
Use that
wanted to ride
motivation with
that bike.
yeah, and use that same motivation, you know, in your life. I say this all the time. I use the bike as I think it's a great example, How many times
Yeah.
cuz but I fell so many times, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah.
I used to do flatland. I don't know if you ever know what flatland is, but BMX flatland where you like pull up the bike on like you're on a flat line, you got pegs, you pull it up, you're like spinning around. You're pretty much
Yeah,
dancing
yeah.
around the bike, right? And doing different. Man, do you know how many times I've smashed my ankles, fell down, did all this, but I still got up and I still did it. I can't do I'm
Yeah.
too old now to be fucking around on that shit. I got other things I gotta deal on. But I mean, I bet you if I picked it up, I could still do a little bit. But it's just like, it's practice and practice and practice. And with anything in life, ADHD to any kind of trauma to anything, you need to keep on practicing at this stuff to being able to try to like, I'm not saying you're going to get better, but at least, feel better within yourself. Like it's
Yeah.
not just going to happen right overnight. Like in order to get better, you're going to have to put in the work, right? You can't just instant gratification shit, right? Like you need to put in the
Yeah.
work, like riding that bike and how many times you picked it up and sat on it.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely.
I want to get in a little bit of like, techniques for people out there that have ADHD that maybe they can use at home or anything like that. Like I know there is one, I'll tell you, I don't know if you know this, but there's a couple actually. There's tapping. I've talked about this before, butterfly tapping with breathing and you tap and it kind of slows you down because you got to focus on tapping, Or
Yeah, yeah.
another one is called close fist starfish. So you go like yeah, like
Yeah.
there we go. Yeah. So close fish, starfish, right? And you go like this, and you gotta. So you open, close like this, back and forth,
Yeah.
and then start going slow and try to go slower and slower until like you're just going like barely. And what it does is it now because you're thinking about that and it's slowing down your mind, right? You know what I mean? And it's slowing you down because now you're thinking about this, trying to make it go slower than the next time and slower than the next time. So there's
Yeah.
like stuff like that, right? Like, do you have any other habits or anything that would help men stay grounded?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, one of the most powerful ones is like, a morning walk for me, and full of gratitude and just being
Hmm.
grateful for everything that God's given me, all the people in my life that are special, all the people I want to pray for, and know Christ, and just remembering all the things that they've done for me, really helps my morning. There's another technique that's been really effective. It's called the uh character space breathing exercise, and it's like basically you breathe in, and you pay attention to your breath, and then for the first couple seconds, and then for about 30 seconds you just sit there and think about your thoughts, and you're just like, whatever thought pops in, you're just, or whatever's in your environment, just be really curious about it. Just like you're observing, clouds in the sky, past, they're like, I wonder why is that? I wonder what that means. But not getting fixated on it, just like just a passing
Opening it,
curiosity. And
yeah,
then
opening it up, yeah.
yeah, and then you go into the breathing, the second phase, which is breathing in and focusing on your breath, focusing on, like, all the intricate aspects of your breath, like how it's going in your nose, how it feels, how your lungs feel, how your shirt feels on your skin through that breath, and just continuing to go breathe back, come back to the breath. So your focus is going narrow. And then you go to the third phase and you start to breathe and focus on, like, just how you feel as a whole. Like there's a force field around you, and like everything's connected. Like, how do you feel overall? Like, just getting that whole sense. So it's like, when I get to that point, it's like I feel this like supernatural kind of energy of like this,
Are
like I
you
said.
grounding yourself though in this moment? Are you grounding yourself as well? Are
Yeah,
you
it's
like
grounded through
grounded?
the
Yeah.
breath.
Okay.
It's always
Okay.
grounded through the breath.
Amazing,
And
man.
I'm sitting down, with my back straight,
Hmm.
and then you can do that, each phase of that for 30 seconds. So it's not something that's, where you got to do it for 2 hours or whatever. You can do it for as long as you like and as little as you like, and it's very powerful with being able to come back to the moment and recenter yourself.
And journaling too. I would say journaling as well is a huge thing because you can always look back on that as well,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I think like with what a lot of people don't understand, they think, journaling, oh, I don't want to journal because I got to write all these things or whatever. Fuck, draw pictures. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Put one word, like how you're feeling today, shitty, just put a word, shitty. Like it doesn't have to be anything. You want to put a couple scribble lines? That's how you felt today, is just putting scribble lines? Fuck, put scribble lines.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be anything like that. You got stickers that make you feel bad or good, put a fucking sticker there. Like whatever it is, man, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and people a lot of times get confused with journaling and writing a diary. They're two totally different things. It's like, dear diary, I had milk today and I talked to Susie and she didn't smile back at me or whatever. No,
Hmm.
it's like talking about how you felt, or something that like came to your mind, like that you want to remember, because honestly, we forget 95% of what we learn,
Hmm.
especially if we don't write it down. So it's like, if you feel like it's that important, write it down, because you may not remember that. And you may not want to be like, well, what was I thinking on that day that really helped me? And you
Hmm.
don't know, but it's important because you want to write that down.
Or something that even affected you, that bothered you, so then you can figure out also your triggers and then set the right boundaries as well. So
Yeah.
it
And you
works
get to
both
see your
ways.
patterns. You get
Yeah.
to, and once you notice those, then you can start to work on those. Cause I've noticed I've had like a real pattern with the anger, and like exploring why I got angry, and like, it would be a lot of times with waiting for people,
Well,
because like that.
I want to ask you then, how do you rebuild trust in yourself after years of failure? Do you think with this thing, like That's another thing with journaling is like, like you start trusting yourself more. I found when I started journaling because you're really getting to know yourself, you
Yeah,
know, because you have these thoughts that come in your head, but how many fucking thoughts do you come in your head a day? Like
yeah,
thousands, thousands. I forget what thousands. Just alone, sex alone, I think is like something ridiculous. Anything about sex runs through your mind, like, and you don't even know
yeah,
about that. You're thinking about this, and I'm talking about the subconscious. Like
yeah,
these are things that are running through your subconscious. That you
yeah,
don't even like, and you're not even really even paying attention. You know what I mean?
yeah. Now trust is difficult. And trust is, and you gotta realize that that's gonna take some time. But
Hmm.
like anytime you have those thoughts, like, oh, this is stupid, or just be like, no, this is loving.
Hmm.
This is something that I'm doing for me, because like if I can't love me, if I can't trust me, no one
Hmm.
will. So it's really like, do I want to be able to trust myself? Okay, that's a good start. Just meeting yourself where you're at, and like, even if you miss a day, just like get back on it, because like giving yourself that that like okay to be able to just be cool, and be okay with, making those mistakes, because those mistakes, like, honestly, the best things that really reinforced my practice is the days that I missed it,
Hmm.
because I was like, I noticed the difference,
Hmm.
and I was like,
Definitely.
I don't like I don't like going back to that person that I'm trying to change,
So
so it
discipline,
yeah, it's not
discipline.
like I'm perfect,
Hmm.
and trust me, there's days like, you know, um I've been struggling with, like, I normally get up earlier, but like I've been struggling with getting up, without hitting the snooze button,
Hmm.
so, I've noticed that, and I'm like trying to get better with that, so, and because I've noticed my days are different, have been different when I don't do that. So it's always going to be something where it's like an ebb and flow, where you're,
It just sucks
where,
on the weekend though. It sucks on the week because I've been there, man. I used to get up at 4:35 in the morning, and I did it for so long that my internal clock would just do it.
yeah,
And Saturday, Sunday would come along, and it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. Like the last thing you want to do is get up. You just want to sleep. And so, but I mean, at the same time, man, make it like you said. Time is the most valuable thing. If you're up at that time, go fucking do something. Make it worth it.
yeah, give yourself a day, like a mental
Yeah,
health day. It's
yeah,
it's
man.
in the Bible, like the Holy Sabbath. Like, God doesn't do give it wasn't for him, it was for us, because
Hmm.
he understands, like, that we need rest. We can't be working every single day or doing something every single. We need a day to just appreciate life, and to do the things that, like, just take a break.
Yeah.
You've been grinding at this really hard. It's like, God has given you more than you need.
Hmm.
Like, you have everything that you need. Like, and I also see it, it's like, it's not trusting God. You're worried, like, God's not, like, you don't believe that you can take a day off and everything's going to be okay. But God provided that for you, because everything is going to be okay if you trust in him.
Oh yeah.
Maybe if you need to work on trust in God.
Yeah.
Trust in what he does for you, but like, give him time,
Well,
and
I
like
want
anything, any
and loving
relationship
yourself.
takes time. Yeah.
Loving yourself is a huge thing too, right? You got to be able to love yourself too, and be able to be able to push love out there. And like a little trick. I mean, it may not work for everybody, but a little trick. Other things messing up here is buy a plant. Buy a
Yeah.
fucking plant, man. And
Yeah.
keep that plant alive for years, because it's not like an animal where the animal's gonna come up to you and be like, "Hey, pet me, feed me, take me out, go pee, whatever." You
Yeah.
actually have to say, "Hey, I have to go give love to this plant. I have to go feed it, give it, water, put it by the light, or like where like the window. You have to actually step out of yourself and go and give this plant love. So if you can keep that thing alive and give love, that means that you're giving love and you love yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I like.
Great
That's a
start.
little. Yeah, it's a little thing there. I want to talk a little bit about
Yeah,
your book. I know it's kind of
definitely.
getting at the end here, but I want to talk a little bit about your book here, brother. I want you to talk about that and give us a little bit rundown on it.
Yeah, so it's like the journal that we've been talking about. So it's self-discovery. But it's a little bit different because it asks you questions that, you continue to dig deeper into like who you are. Like, okay, when somebody says a certain thing to me, why does it hit different than somebody else? Trying to like take a look at those patterns and disrupt those patterns and like give you these like kind of frames to work in. And like I said, just take your time with it because some of these are going to go really deep into like the core of the trauma that we all face, that we all need to look at to understand like, yeah, trauma can be devastating, but if you don't explore it and you don't see it, it's going to continue to be a wound, an invisible wound that you're going to bring into every single relationship. And things aren't going to make sense. Why you don't trust other people, and it helps you develop that trust because you're like, okay, there's parts of you that have been buried, and like hidden away because you don't think the world needs to see them, but they're still part of you. They're still there, and that's where that shame comes from. So when you can start to like love those parts, you can start to show up more confidently in the world.
Man, love that. Hell yeah. And you can find it in the description. And there's a free. You said the free workbook, right? It's a free workbook.
Yeah,
You
you
said there.
copy.
Yeah, e-copy. So you can find that in the description. Check that out. I do want to ask you too, if ADHD had a warning sign or a warning label, what would it say?
Oh, that's a good one. Like to other people or to the person?
Just in general, like say it was on a say ADHD and it had a warning label, what would it say?
I would say, warning ADHD, life is on super hard for
Life is on
me.
super hard.
Yeah,
Okay,
super hard mode.
hell yeah. But hey, that's when you get the best trophies, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's when
that's
you
what
get
I'm
the best
saying.
trophies, man.
People that with ADHD, they have this built-in power because they're resilient because we have to show up with the mask on, with all the doubt, with all the emotional turmoil and still do our job. That takes that for you to just survive, you are doing better than most people because most people couldn't handle that. Most people are just like, it's not that difficult for them to get up out of bed. They don't get that. They don't
Mm-hmm.
get like that. It's just that depression or that anxiety from going in and having to do the same, just to put on that mask and not and have to hide that who they really are.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult. And for you to be able to continue to show up, that is an amazing strength.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. And speaking on that, then, what advice do you completely disagree with within the ADHD space?
Yeah, that you have to conform or just be
Mm-hmm.
quiet or be, it's just like, no, we should just keep it silent. I get it. Some people aren't at that level, but in order for us to really make change and show up, we need to, the more people that stand up and speak about this, the more that we're going, it's going to become more normalized,
Mm-hmm.
so people are and everybody gets a better understanding. And then other people like with autism or PTSD can see that and be like, yeah, we can apply that over here. Or even if they have AIDS, like there's so many things that are going on in this world that people just can't believe that they can't talk about, which need to be talked about, and it can help so many people by
Mm-hmm.
being that vulnerable.
On that note, that means subscribe, share this with fucking everybody, and also with Ron, and check out his podcast and check out his book, so we can share it out there, like you said, man, and get the
Yeah.
word out there and push it. Because, like, I mean, this is why I do my podcast. I know that's why you do your podcast, and that's why I know a lot of other people that do their podcasts is to push it out there. and help and bring. And this is why I have guests on like you and so many other wonderful guests I've had on
Yeah,
to share their
definitely.
experiences and show everything. I do have one last question for you, brother, before I want you to plug everything. If you could talk to one man listening right now, what would you tell him and to stop doing today?
Yeah, I'll just say, look, it's okay. It's okay to worry. It's okay to do what you're doing. It's okay because, God made you. And when you want to know how God loves you, God made you. Like he don't make things just to sit around and be depressed or whatever, take up space. He makes everything for a purpose and a reason. So just figure out what that is. Just trust God and try to get to know him better.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Okay, so last but not least, plug all your shit one more time, brother, so that everybody knows where to get to you, man.
Yeah, you can find me and step into my world at Don't Mind Me. I Just Have ADHD. It's my podcast. You can find it on all the platforms. Also, like my self discovery journal, which it's great to go do that deep work and take your time with it. You can find that at youradhdguy.com, a free e-copy, and also that video, Mastering the Moment, which is like 3 short little tips on how to really just break that barrier, especially if you're an introvert. It's all there for you. It's the stuff that I wish I had when I first started working and starting to change my life.
Hell yeah, man. I really appreciate you, Ron, coming out here,
Yeah, I
and
appreciate you having me, brother.
you're welcome to come on any other time, brother, when you got some more stuff, or if you want to just come and shoot the shit, man, you're more than welcome. You're part of the
Yeah,
family here, so I
God
appreciate
bless.
you. And for everybody out there listening, if you haven't gone to Spotify and checked out Raw Mind Scars Don't Lie, my album, you're missing out because it's all about my life. It's a crazy album. It's on Spotify,
Nice.
iTunes, all that stuff. Check it out. It's AI. It's not me, but it gives me a chance to express my feelings. Because if I sang, you'd think that someone was killing the cat. So thank God for AI. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's my story. I talk about my everything on there. I talk about everything. So check it out. It's all real stuff. I am working on my memoir. I started picking that up again. So it's going to take me a little bit. I'm on chapter 14. I only have 11,000 words right now, but I'm pushing to get about 70,000. So still working on it. It's still in the background. So I want to let you guys know when that does release. I will let everybody know about that.
Nice.
And one other thing, my life coaching stuff. So I'm almost done with my packages. And when that's all done, I will be releasing that as well. And hopefully I can help the people that needs it out there. So, and for the first 4 people that want to take my coaching, I will have a very, very, very good deal, and if you can give me the reviews, that'd be great. But other than that, I just want to say thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody. And we will see you next week. Thank you, Ron, once again for
Yeah,
coming on Raw
definitely.
Minds. And with that being known, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
God bless.
Hell yeah, man.